On one occasion, when Jesus was going to the house of a leader of the Pharisees to eat a meal on the Sabbath, they were watching him closely. And when he noticed the guests and how they chose the places of honor, he told them a parable. When you are invited by someone to a wedding banquet, do not sit down at the place of honor in case someone more distinguished than you has been invited by your host, and your host will have to come up and say to you, "Give this person your place." And then in disgrace, you will start to take the lower place. But when you are invited, go and sit in the lowest place, so that your host may come up to you and say, "Friend, move up higher." Then you will be honored by all who sit at presence at the table with you. For all who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. He said this also to the one who had invited him. When you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your sisters or your relatives or your rich neighbors, in case they invite you back and you would be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. The Gospel of the Lord. You probably don't remember who Michelle Salahi and her husband Tariq are, but for their allotted 15 minutes, they were famous for crashing a White House state dinner honoring the Prime Minister of India. They managed to not only get past security, but had their picture taken with Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel, Washington Mayor Adrian Fenty, CBS News anchor Katie Couric, 3 Marines in dress blue uniforms, and Vice President Joseph Biden. All of Washington was abuzz over how such a thing could happen. Members of Congress did what they do best. They called for hearings so they could get their mugs on television for another shot at a pithy but often pathetic soundbite. The congressional circus, as it almost always is, was by far out of proportion to the crime. The Salahis were summoned to appear before, and I'm not making this up, the Homeland Securities Committee, which, if I understand this correctly, is charged with making sure that our nation does not come under another terrorist attack, not who does not sneak in to a White House reception. At the hearing, the couple had to endure statements such as this from Chris Carney, a Democrat from Pennsylvania, who said to the couple that the committee had subpoenaed, "Time is the only thing we have of value, and I can't believe how much of ours you're wasting." As if it was the couple's idea to crash a congressional committee right after they had finished crashing a state dinner. And proving my belief that the only thing in Washington that is bipartisan is stupidity, Dan Lundgren, a Republican representative from California, nearly exploded, scolding the couple by saying, "To have engaged in conduct that undercut the seriousness of our role to protect the president as some sort of reality TV stunt is an extraordinary affront to the seriousness of the issues that are before us today." So there. Strong letter to follow, as Charles Krauthammer has been known to say. The Salahis apparently understood the seriousness of lying to Congress, and so they took the Fifth Amendment no less than 25 times. And in the absolute best statement of the whole hubbub, their attorney said, they believe in their hearts that they were invited to the White House. How does that work? If you believe you've been invited, that means you've been invited? Just try that sometime yourself. Go to the Drake some Saturday night and say to the security guard, I believe I've been invited to this wedding. I don't know who the couple is, but I believe in my heart I have been invited. See how long it takes for the police to be summoned.